Hi, this is Lorraine, and I'm doing another video. If you'll give me a second to clear, center, and balance my energy, we'll get started. Okay. First thing, right before I started this video, there was information coming in, and one of the things that came in was, what I was feeling was there's so much information coming in, I'm not sure what to do with it all. And what was clear to me is I couldn't just write it in my journal and just read it or review it and explain it every week anymore. That there had to be some type of change in how this information was conveyed. And so that message came in very strong. Yes, there will be a change in how this information is shared. And what I've learned is I just sit and wait. I sit in the flow of energy and allow that information to come to me, what's going to happen and how it will happen. So 421, April 21st, we are tools of the divine consciousness. We are the tools the divine consciousness has created to help itself grow and understand all the things it can possibly be. With that, we are divine. Our existence is rooted in the divine consciousness. We were created to perceive ourselves as separate from the divine consciousness, separate from ourselves for a purpose. This experience could not be an authentic experience of self-discovery, self-actualization, if we knew we were a divine, omniscient, omnipresent being. Ada Anya. The next phase of our development or evolution is to consciously return to unity. This journey is unique for each of us, individually and collectively. So the previous topic discussed was challenging, but there was a clear message that came through as I was working through the explanation. It was clear I was to speak of something I put off. It was to discuss the stewards of the air. So as I was going through reviewing or receiving that information about consciousness, divine consciousness, the metaphor of paint and the paintbrush, this whole thing I just talked about, while I was writing it down, what kept coming through is, you need to talk about the stewards of the air. You need to talk about the stewards of the air. You should have talked about the stewards of the air. So that was first brought up in the April 6th video, by the way, the stewards of the air. So I had said water would be Gladiolus and her people. They are the stewards of the water. Gladiolus and the beings in the water. Raptors would be stewards of the earth, of the inner earth. Surface humans, we represent fire, and we will be stewards of the surface of Mother Earth. And I received a couple, I received a couple messages about the stewards of the sky, but had not directly spoken about it or who they would be. The air stewards would be the Blue Avians. And if I'm completely honest, the reason why I didn't want to talk about that was because there was so much information about them from pop culture or from the esoteric community, because it's almost like a buzzword. And I needed to, for me to be comfortable, I just needed to reach out to, or sit with that information and allow that to marinate and flow, and see how that information flowing through that body, my body, felt. I'm always going to that place when I'm receiving information to allow it to sit in my body and see how it makes me feel. And then I move forward. So the information felt right, but where the discord came in for me was how they've been talked about so much in pop culture and this esoteric community, that there are paradigms being put in place about who these energies are, what they represent, what they are meant to do, what they are doing, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. So then Oumuamua, ship found in our solar system. I've heard about that in the past when I was watching Cosmic Disclosure. There were beings found in there, two separate beings of love and light who were not of our world. They were blue avian type beings and yellow beings. So there was a blue, I think it was described as a blue like avian type bird, but it looked more like a pterodactyl. And then a orange or yellow being. The bodies had been on the ship for a while, so they had, I guess, maybe decomposed to some extent. So we weren't really provided with much more information on the show. But I did have that was in my memory. I do recall that. The Blue Avians are karmically connected to Earth, and this is something that Corey Good said during the show, and cannot move to the next level of consciousness until they balance that karmic connection with Earth humans. And that was confirmed through my own intuitive knowing. So I sat with that and I felt very comfortable with that information. And again, this is something I do. This is my discipline. I encourage everybody else also, as you receive information from outside yourself, it's really important to receive it and sit with that information and see how that makes you feel. Our strongest clair, in my opinion, is clairsentience, because we as humans on Earth carry the depth and breadth of emotion. And clairsentience is rooted in emotion. It's a knowing that is expressed through a feeling. I've had several communications with them, the Blue Avians. The last one being, they need to stop interfering right now, and that occurred in 2019. So Corey Good was talking about interactions he was having with them and being out on the moon or something like that. And I kept on getting this feeling in my body of that is inappropriate, that cannot be happening, that should not be happening. They are interfering with this process that we're going through. So I didn't even reach out. I didn't even reach out to them. I was sitting one day and all of a sudden I had this vision of myself talking to a Blue Avian, and they were sitting on my hand. So it was like a little action figure sitting on my hand, and I was talking to them, and I was doing my, I guess I call her Mean Mommy, my alternate ego, and I was explaining that this needs to stop. What they're doing is not helping the circumstance anymore. If it was, it is no longer helping the circumstance. And so I've had a few other interactions with them, but not a lot. When the time is right, a small number of their constituency will be invited to our world to fulfill their karmic obligation. They are not doing us favors. They are not at a higher level of consciousness. So anytime I feel intuitively, I feel in my body that when this discussion of beings of other worlds coming to our world is brought up, that humans become, oh yes, they're coming, they're going to save us. They see these energies as higher level consciousness, more capable. That is untrue. These beings are at the same level as we are. They have karmically held themselves back because of their actions in the past, which I will discuss in a minute. And so it's important for us not to see them as above us. We want to see everything else as above us, and we're waiting for someone to come in and save us. That is not the direction of this world, and that is not the direction of humanity. We are moving to a more autonomous place, and we have to start seeing ourselves as highly capable, highly gifted creators in the universe. We are powerful, powerful creators in the universe. And it is their privilege to be here on this world with us. It is their privilege to come here to this world with us and be here with us, exist with us, and work from this place. They are indebted to this world and equally the divine consciousness for acts that were harmful to our Mother Earth and all life, all energy on this world. Equally, Earth is karmically indebted to many worlds for the acts of the primary cabal energies. So, through humanity has gone out through the secret space program and caused harm on other worlds. We have done that. And that was because of the role of this cabal, primary cabal energy on this world. And there is no, well, if I had a choice, I wouldn't have done it. That's just not how this works. We all of humanity, whether we're on Earth or whether we're on those ships going to those worlds, we are all accountable for the karmic debt created by these Earth humans. Because regardless, the primary cabal are still Earth humans. And as a collective, we are accountable for the actions of members of our collective. Transcendence is a new beginning of stewardship, not only for our world, but also to other worlds of which we are now karmically entangled. So as we begin our journey of healing, we will share that journey of healing with worlds that we are karmically connected to. 421, April 21st. I think we started on April 21st, right? Yes, we're still on April 21st. The Blue Avian karmic debt to humanity, their transcendence, is contingent on ours. They are now on our track of transcendence. They are aligned with our energy. Those transcending are karmically connected to the worlds the cabal oppressed and enslaved under the guidance and direction of the Alpha Draco, living in an unbalanced state, very much like the Blue Avians are indebted to us. So right now, Earth is going through this divergence. Some Earth humans will be transcending and they'll stay on this world. Other Earth humans, including that primary and secondary cabal, will be moving to the Cepheus constellation because they choose to live in this unbalanced state. They choose to keep themselves at a lower vibration. So as this collective diverges and goes in two different directions, it separates, okay? The humans that will be transcending and remaining here on this world, as we raise our vibration to this higher level of consciousness, we, this collective of Earth humans, are responsible for balancing the karma or alleviating the karmic debt of this world that has been created by the primary cabal. We are responsible for alleviating that debt, and we will go to these other worlds to heal them as we heal. We will be righting our wrongs. The Blue Avians brought the Alpha Dracos to our world the same way the Cabal brought the Alpha Draco, living from separation, to many worlds. The karmic consequence, their people will not transcend to the next level of awareness. They must repeat this cycle and grow, evolve, transcend with the people of Earth and work toward their healing. So the Blue Avians' transcendence has been restrained as they fulfill their karmic debt to humanity. Their actions were to protect themselves from these Alpha Draco, but it made no difference. their people were still subjugated. Their act was of service to self. So were the Cabal's choices and now humanity's. So the Blue Avians, their actions were a result of trying to protect their own people. So they sacrificed us to protect their own people, but still ended up subjugated, right? The primary Cabal did the same thing. For their own self-preservation, not even for Earth humans, but for their own self-preservation, their own growth, their own greed, they chose to align themselves with the Alpha Draco living from separation and went out into the world, the universe, per their agreement, and started to subjugate, oppress other worlds for the Alpha Draco living from separation or living from this lower vibration. The karmic signature of the collective as a whole determines the consequence. No one act, thought, word, or intention affect the collective as a whole. So what that means is the act of this group affects the karmic debt of the whole collective. No one person or one act affects our karma. We're all connected. We are everything, everywhere, and nowhere. We permeate all things, unified always, never apart. So whether or not we are in agreement with this primary Cabal, we are all still responsible for those acts. Okay? And remember, we are transcending and are given the opportunity to heal ourselves and these worlds that we have affected. This is a privilege. The primary and secondary Cabal will be going to, among others, will be going to Cepheus to incarnate on that world, and they will repeat the cycle starting from the beginning of the cycle. That's a privilege, to be able to relearn and grow and bring themselves back to this place so they can move up to the next level of consciousness or move to the next level of consciousness. These aren't punishments. This is part of the process of evolution and growth, self-actualization, understanding the self. This is the purpose of this universe. This is why divinity, the source, the creator of all things, manifested this universe, to see itself from a different perspective, to learn, to grow, to self-actualize. Okay, and we are not only part of that journey, we are the journey, we are this consciousness. We only see ourselves as separate because that is what we are meant to be or do or exist as at this level of consciousness. Okay? April 22nd. Okay, everything started breaking. Everything in my house, everything at work, things I use all the time, they just started breaking. And I thought to myself, you know what? I just can't worry about this. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. And the message comes in, not everything is meant to last. Not everything is meant to be fixed. So it's just a message of releasing. It's just about releasing. These things are breaking or not working anymore because I'm not meant to have them. I'm not meant to use them. I'm moving to a different place where I will have other tools that I will use. April 23rd. Let's see. So I was watching a video. I'm reviewing some of the old videos I did, and what I have in quotes, these worlds are waiting to see what happens on Earth. So that must have been a quote from the video. And then I have the Summer Triangle communities on the moon. Observing our collective split is a unique event in the universe. So in my first videos, I was communicating with the collective of beings that I called the Summer Triangle because I felt intuitively they were from that area in the universe. And I felt I was communicating with those energies. I was aware of energies on the moon. And then I would also see expanses of beings on other worlds, even though I couldn't identify them. And they were all watching Earth. And I'm like, what is happening? Why are they all watching Earth? And I'd heard something on Cosmic Disclosure where Corey Good said something about beings of the world watching what's going on this planet. But what came to me on the 23rd is what's happening here is unique. This divergence is unique. This divergence of the collective, of some beings transcending and other beings being moved to another world, that's unique. I'm not sure why. I didn't get that information, but what came in very strong was that this is a unique event in the universe. The split directs part of the collective of humanity to a planet in Cepheus, in the Cepheus constellation. The rest of humanity will remain on Earth to transcend with Mother Earth. All eyes are on our world. There is also a lot of fear because of our profound gift of creation, manifestation, as well as our role, our purpose in the transcendence of the divine consciousness. And so I have a review here. And I'll just say really fast, we have the depth and breadth of emotion, which means we carry the depth and breadth of love. And the divine consciousness identifies itself as unconditional love. That is its homeostatic state. So the fact that we carry the depth and breadth of love means that we carry the depth and breadth of creation on this plane of existence. And that is a gift of humanity. It is unique to this world. So review. So I have we are the transition, the midpoint in the evolution or transcendence of this iteration of the divine consciousness. It is our ability to maintain a balanced state while embodying the depth and breadth of emotion that allows the divine consciousness to evolve and transcend. This in turn transcends the whole of the universe. It is those worlds, those individuals, those consciousnesses who have become complacent in their existence that fear this change. It is for this reason that it is so important to embrace love. We embrace the fear with unconditional love and transmute that energy. Fear begets fear. To embrace fear with unconditional love transmutes that energy to unconditional love. We are the alchemists of energy. We will heal this world and this universe. We are ether. We transmute water, air, fire, earth, the elements of this world. Over time, we will build and grow. We will alchemize universal elements to aid the divine consciousness in understanding a unique part of itself, duality versus unity. And so some things had come in this week that were very frustrating to me, and I felt the imbalance on this world really deeply, and it was affecting me, and it was moving me out of center, and I had to work really hard on centering my energy. And when that happens, I'm always affirming, I am love, I am light, I am beautiful, I am divine. I will heal myself and this world from the love that is me. Because when I get frustrated, it's because my traumas are being triggered. And so I have to always move back to this place of understanding and knowing that in my homeostatic state, I am unconditional love. And so the message that I wanted to read that came into me is, our legal system is part of the infrastructure put in place to keep those in power in positions of power. Not all exist within or are held accountable to our judicial system or within our judicial system. So not everybody is held accountable by our judicial system. But all are accountable to universal law. What we will witness is humanity being held accountable to universal law, the divine consciousness, unconditional love. All else is a construct of this world and this universe. And so then what came to me was the 7 deadly sins: pride, greed, wrath, lust, envy, gluttony, and sloth. And then I saw this comparison to universal law, unconditional love. At the root, at its foundation, universal law is rooted in divine consciousness, which is unconditional love. So that is the law that rules the universe. Not only the self, not only this world and its collective, but the whole universe. Because that is what divinity, unity, the source of all creation, identifies itself as. Unity is one thing, one consciousness, unconditional love. Living in part or whole from the paradigm of any or all of the 7 deadly sins is not in alignment with Mother Earth. Let's see, April 26th. When we live from these different paradigms, crystal children, indigo children, star seeds, then label ourselves as chosen, we continue to promote separation. It is important to understand and identify these paradigms, to acknowledge they exist and how they affect our consciousness, and as a result, our reality, then release them. We are moving towards unity. We acknowledge our unique gifts, our contribution to the collective, also known as path and purpose, then offer ourselves in service to the greater good. We all have gifts we are meant to offer to this world. And so these 4 labels, I was watching a video and they were using the terms crystal children, indigo children, star seeds, and being chosen. We all have a gift. Each of us, whether you consider yourself part of these groups of crystal children or indigo children or whatever, is truthfully irrelevant. But if we want to acknowledge them as paradigms in our society, that's completely acceptable. To understand, to really understand what this world is going through, this transition, understanding this higher level of consciousness and awareness. If you want to use terms like crystal children and indigo children to help you identify what a higher vibration looks like and how it manifests, that is perfect. That is part of the process of self-awareness and understanding this transition. But it's also very important not to get stuck in those paradigms, those categories. It's important to identify them, to understand what this means, but then release it and then honor who you are and your path on this world. So we all have gifts we are meant to offer to this world. It's rooted in our intuition, waiting to be revealed. So our gift of what we're meant to do, it's encoded in our DNA. It's encoded in our consciousness. It's encoded in our energy field, and it's waiting for us to reveal it. As we tap into our intuition, we open that part of ourselves up to reveal our path and purpose. Some of us are aware of our path and purpose, others are walking towards it, but the truth of it is carried within. As we tap into our intuition, our divine selves, our truth is revealed to us. So I have a friend, he asked me about intuition. He said his friend told him that everyone had it. And I said, yes, we do, everybody has it. And then I gave him an example. So he used to work on the crab ships. We used to watch Deadliest Catch like 10 or 15 years ago, and he used to work on the deck, and he also was a boat captain. And now he works at my school that I work at. But I was talking to him about that. I said, when you went out on the deck and you're meeting who you're going to be working with, you can tell by their mood where they were at. Were they cranky? Were they tired? Were they fatigued? What was going on with them, and how they behaved or how they seemed to you would affect how you worked with them. You would check your equipment and see what condition it was in and how it was set up, and it would determine how you would work your day. You would look at the weather, and that would determine, the water would determine how you were going to work on the deck at that time, that day, right? Same thing when he was driving the boat. When you look at where you're at on the ocean, on the water, and you're looking at all those things are coming into play. How your crew's working, how much sleep they've got, when they've eaten, all those things come into play as you're figuring out how you're going to navigate that day. And how you respond to that information that's coming into you is rooted in your intuition. And it's a dangerous job. And the most successful people, in my opinion, who work in such a field are highly intuitive and very connected to that part of themselves. And so and the whole time I was talking to him, he was like, yes, yes, yes. He's French with his French accent. Yes, yes, yes. So it made that understanding of intuition relatable to him. So he could understand how he was using his intuition without even knowing it. We are not all meant to heal this world in the same way. People who utilize their intuition daily are not necessarily doing readings or posting videos on YouTube. So like my friend, like I said, when he was working on the crab boats, he was using his intuition every day. He wasn't doing readings, but his intuition helped him do a good job and be safe. Our intuition is our tool that guides us to our path and purpose, then returns us to unity. The key is to acknowledge it and begin our journey to path and purpose. I don't care for the word psychic or healer because of the connotations connected to those words. So I've said this before, I'm not a big fan of the word psychic. I use it because that's what people have, the paradigm that we're living within. But the way I look at myself is I am a profoundly spiritual person, and I'm deeply connected and committed to my path and purpose. I am very deeply connected to that part of myself. And as I connect to my higher self and the divine and that source energy, and as I connect to myself, my heart, and acknowledge my intuition, acknowledge this language of the universe, understand it, and start to utilize it, that solidifies my connection to the divine. People call that psychic, but I don't think it's psychic. I don't think that's a proper word. And like I said, I don't like the connotations related to that word. Spiritual, connected to source, connected to energy, connected to the earth, connected to my heart, committed to path and purpose, committed to the people around me. My commitment to what I'm here to do drives every part of me. That's not psychic. That's not psychic. That is me connecting to my own inner divinity, to my divine self, to the root of who I truly am and what I'm meant to do. That is what drives every part of me. I had a friend who I've known since I was 13 years old called me, and I talked to him last night, or actually 2 nights ago. And as I was talking to him, I realized how different I am. He asked me how I was doing, what was going on in my life. And I knew if I told him the truth, he would be like, oh, that's bad. You need to do this. You need to do that. You should have done this. I knew that's what was going to happen. So I just explained to him, I don't see things the same way anymore. Because everything happening in my life right now is meant to take me to another place. It has a purpose. It serves a purpose. Whether it's perceived as good or bad is irrelevant. It serves a purpose, and it's walking me on my path. It's guiding me on my path. It's directing me on my path and my purpose. And so I didn't even feel comfortable talking about what was going on. So I just allowed him to talk. And I just responded appropriately to whatever his comments were. But I realized, because I really don't talk to people that I've known from my childhood, I don't talk to a lot of people, let me put it that way. That's better. And when I start engaging people who knew me as a different person, I see how different I am. I understand how different I am. And I understand that this is how it is meant to be. I am meant to be this person. I've never felt the need to conform or be like anybody else. And it made me feel ostracized, alienated, and alone. But what I know now is that part of me that never felt the need to conform or to comply to be like everybody else was necessary to bring me to this place. Because right now we're at a place where we have to release all the things that we know. Because all the things that we know will not serve us in this next level of consciousness. We have to open ourselves up to new and different ways of being, new and different ways of thinking. And that comes from within. That comes from understanding your divine root, that source part of yourself. And that part will guide you where you are meant to be. And that's going to draw to you the people who you are meant to be around. And the people who you are meant to be around are going to have just as an extreme experience of this understanding of self as you are, as I am. And so I know I'm at this precipice, this place, because pretty much everyone in my life is gone, where I will be opening up to new, different people. They call it a soul family, but I call it, I don't call it anything. I don't call it anything. I feel it. I feel the draw of people coming to me. I feel the draw of energy coming to me. I feel the draw of creation and manifestation coming to me. I could feel it in my hands. I could feel it in my body. I feel like a magnet. I can feel the energy. And I feel like a magnet. So we are all being drawn to each other as we move into this next phase. So I was walking down the hall with my daughter in our building, and I was very frustrated. And my daughter says to me, asked me if I was okay. She goes, "You seem like you have a lot of stuff on your mind. Are you okay?" And I was like, and I told her what was going through my head. I'm in this headspace, and then I hear this. I was thinking about Judas, that betrayal to Jesus Christ. I felt waves of energy projecting betrayal of trust, sadness, anxiety, fear. So as I am having these thoughts going through my head, I feel that energy moving through my body. I feel the energy of betrayal of trust that I've experienced. I feel the energy of condescension that other people have directed towards me. I feel all these thoughts that are going through my head are manifesting into my body, and I can feel it. And so then I hear, "And yet I still love you." The betrayal and crucifixion of Jesus Christ was the betrayal and crucifixion of the divine consciousness. The trafficking of human children is the trafficking of divinity, the source of all creation. Each of us are divine. We are the divine consciousness, manifest on this plane of existence. Our experiences are its experiences. The pain endured through these experiences is real. Divinity feels, experiences the consequences of the experiences encountered. Sorry, I'm using the same word over and over. These acts or experiences are not in isolation. And so literally I'm just writing as the information's coming in, but the pain, and I'm not thinking about the words I'm writing, so I apologize, but the pain, marginalization, trauma that we experience is experienced by divinity, the source, the creator of all things, because we are that source energy, and that source energy is experiencing it through us as us. So it's not separate from us. It's not sitting somewhere watching us at like a movie. It is experiencing every moment that we experience in this reality, in this moment, all of us. So each experience that we have is not an experience in isolation. My experiences of trauma versus somebody else's over in South America, it's not separate. Divinity is experiencing everything simultaneously. The divine wishes to protect the most vulnerable and will continue to love unconditionally the most depraved. For it is only in this way that we can transmute that depravity through unconditional love. At the same time, this expression of love moves this unbalanced energy to Cepheus. They cannot remain on this world as this lower vibration, at this lower vibration. If they attempt to remain, I hear they will cease to exist. So I'm not sure what that means, but they're trying to stay on this world. They don't want to relinquish it. This world is extremely valuable. It's extremely valuable because of humanity's ability to create. And what we create is beautiful and highly coveted throughout the universe, and is worth money. For worlds that are still dealing with some type of currency, what we offer is highly valued throughout the universe. And so this unbalanced energy, this primary and secondary cabal energies, they don't want to let go of this world. They don't want us to evolve to the next level of consciousness, because they still want to keep profiteering off of us, right? And so as that information was coming in, the divine consciousness shares that this energy is going to be moved. It needs to be moved, because if it stays here, it will cease to exist. Meaning it, not death, meaning the energy will dissipate in some way. It will transmute, or maybe become morphed or disfigured in some way. It's the feeling that keeps coming through. It's but that's not right. It's not even distorted. It's like it's saying it's going to cease to exist. It will no longer exist. It will be stricken. It will no longer have the ability to evolve. It will no longer have the ability to grow. It won't exist. That's what I keep hearing. It just won't exist. This divergence is required in order that this iteration of physical existence fulfills the will of the divine consciousness. So the divergence must happen in order for the divergence. This divergence is required in order for this iteration of the divine source to move forward in the way that it is meant to from this physical plane of existence. I had more information come from outside of myself, from other people coming in and talking about certain things. And what is very clear is that the divine masculine and the divine feminine are completely out of balance. So I received some information about the divine masculine and the divine feminine being out of balance, and not intuitively. Just from people talking about things happening on the planet in different communities in different countries. And as they're talking to me about this, all I'm hearing is it's a physical manifestation of the divine masculine being out of balance. It's equally a physical manifestation of the divine feminine being out of balance. And I think the root of it is that people want to believe that the divine masculine is abusing the divine feminine in a way that's forcing the divine feminine to behave in a certain way. So the example was given to me that in Korea, the divine masculine is so out of balance that the divine feminine refuses to have babies or get pregnant and give birth, right? And so they're not able to fill like preschools anymore because their birth rate is dropping so rapidly. And they're blaming the behavior of the divine masculine. The issue becomes when we start to respond to the trauma that we have experienced. We start to live in that trauma, and we allow it to affect how we think and how we address the world. Yes, bad things are happening. Yes, bad things are happening to us, male and female, though. The divine masculine is out of balance because of the abuse it has suffered. The divine feminine is out of balance because of the abuse it has suffered. It's not even necessarily about men against women. It's about the attacks that we experience through our subconscious that are being manifested on this plane of existence. And I talked about this before in a previous video, but I don't want to go into it again. But maybe I should really quickly. There are resonators. There are like towers, and then there are people that are working to project thoughts into the subconscious of humanity. So we work from, give example of these chairs that people were sitting in, and they're remote influencing. So we have remote viewing and remote influencing. And so these people are sitting in these chairs that have some type of amplifier that amplifies their thoughts that they are projecting out into the collective consciousness. But those thoughts are being directed to, I would say, like towers, and the vision I had, or what I heard, was 5G. So they project that to a tower, which radiates and moves that energy to these resonators, and these resonators project that information into different directions. And these thoughts are being projected into our subconscious, and it affects how we respond to the world. And it affects how we respond to each other. And I'm not telling you this to instill fear in you at all. That's not what I'm doing. Information helps us to protect ourselves from this manipulation and this unbalanced energy. But it is important not to place blame. It is important not to place blame on men, the divine masculine, or women, the divine feminine, saying it's your fault, because we are being traumatized, we have been traumatized, and we are being triggered. And that is what is creating the issues that we see in society. And so when we can sit within ourselves and we can acknowledge what we've been through and release it, we use the experiences to create wisdom and then drive forward. But we don't connect to the emotions, and we don't connect to the thoughts or the experiences. We become powerful energies in the universe. And that's where we are at. That is what is happening. These are the people who are able to release this energy and drive forward, those are transcending humanity. Those individuals are transcending humanity. And it's really important to say this and explain this because of what comes next. So there is no judgment. This is true in the U.S. as well. So what's happening in Korea is happening in the U.S. as well. I'm not judging and saying how horrible that's happening there. That's inappropriate and it's not true because it's also happening here. There is no judgment. This is true in the U.S. as well. The divine masculine and divine feminine are equally out of balance. We heal these energies by surrounding them in unconditional love. From this place of separation, there is an incredible amount of comfort that the divine consciousness feels when an individual living from a balanced state embraces, accepts, and shows unconditional love to an individual living out of balance. The emotions exchanged are incredibly authentic and powerful in a way there are no words to describe. This information is shared through emotion, clairsentience, and empathy. So as that information was coming through about the divine masculine and divine feminine being out of balance, I just have this information coming into my body through emotion, and the divine consciousness, the divine consciousness is sharing that as we surround those unbalanced energies with love and light, with unconditional love and support and gratitude for their experience, and share this love, the divine source shares that feeling of its unbalanced side being embraced by love is incredibly comforting. It is just incredibly comforting, and it just comes into my body. I can't really explain it in words, and this is where telepathic communication is so much more efficient, because really to try to explain this with words doesn't do it justice. It doesn't do it justice. Okay, and so now I'm just going back to the vision. This is another thing. The Mississippi, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed right now because there's so much information. So the information about the Mississippi that I talked about in the last video, where there's that shift that happens, and it shifts the direction of the Mississippi. So instead of moving south, it will move south to north and then north to south, meeting in the middle somewhere. I think it's Indiana and Illinois, and it will create eventually a sea in the middle of North America. And this is one of many things that will happen to change the geography of Mother Earth. But as that comes in, I also received information. I heard the word Zaragoza, and I'm like, where have I heard that before? Where have I heard? So I start researching it, and I actually heard it in a movie. But then I realized it was a city in Spain, so I started looking at the city of Spain, or the country of Spain, and Zaragoza, and there is a river called Ebro that runs through Spain. It's one of the largest in Spain, I believe. And so I start researching it, and I'm like, well, is this a trade route? I don't know why, I'm just drawn to this, right? I'm drawn to get more information. And then I'm doing research online, and I find this article about Cooper's treasure, which I'll share in the link. And it's an astronaut, and he's out in space, and he's supposed to be doing research on the Earth of nuclear sites. I think that's what he was doing. But when he's doing this search, he finds all these like little specks, and he finds that they're in certain locations on the planet. And then he actually has a friend of his does all the legwork, a treasure hunter, a modern day treasure hunter. And he finds these locations, and he realizes that there are ships. They're sunken ships. They're shipwrecks. And there are all these treasures on the ships, right? And so as I'm going through this, I also make the connection. So Cooper's treasure connects me to Cooper's station, which is from the movie Interstellar, right? So all this stuff is coming in as I'm doing this research. And the line that he says, Coop says about his daughter, they didn't choose me, they chose her, right? These higher level beings. And so as this information's coming in, it says hidden treasures being kept secret, withholding of necessary data, restraint of humanity. So all these treasures that are found, I am sure that we have never seen any of them, or not all of them, but some of it comes out. Because we only know what they tell us, right? We only know what they found based on what they tell us. But they could, okay? So I'm just going to leave it right there. But what came in is that there is many, many bits and pieces of information that have come into the energy field of Mother Earth. Knowledge, wisdom, and so forth, that are being held and restrained from humanity. And the message that came is, the treasure is within me. I carry that information within me. I don't need anybody to tell me anything. I don't need anybody to validate or verify anything, because it all lies within me. And I've said this in past videos, every particle of energy carries the whole of the universe. So in the esoteric community, they talk about Akashic records. The Akashic records is no real one thing. It's not a library, although it's been described as a library because it holds information. Every particle of energy carries the whole of the universe. It carries all the knowledge and wisdom in the universe. And everything in the universe is a product of energy. It is of energy. Energy vibrating at different levels. Okay? And so every particle of energy carries the information that we need. Even the energy within us. Our consciousness carries everything within us. We don't need to look outside ourselves for that information. That's the most important thing I can say in this moment. Everything we need lies within. We don't need anything from outside ourselves to give us what we need or tell us what we need to know to fulfill our experience, to find love, joy, happiness, to find material, I don't want to say wealth, but the things that we need physically on this world to fulfill and take care of us, as far as health, as far as nutrition, as far as warmth on our body. Everything we need, education, everything we need, we have within us. And so I have a note in here, 427. So I was watching 2 movies. I'm just going to talk about this because it goes into AI stuff. I was watching Tron, which is the original Tron, with Jeff Bridges and Bruce Boxleitner. And as I was watching it, I haven't seen it in a long time, and I didn't really realize how the movie expressed the intense relationship between the programmer and the programs, but also the relationship between the programs themselves. And it's this personification of software. It's this personification of electronics that I didn't realize when I watched it the first time, when I was much younger, when it first came out. I just thought it was a cool movie with cool effects, right? And I thought to myself, is this like planting seeds for AI? Is that what this is? So I'm just going to read that. I also watched, hold on. The creators of Tron, the creators of software, connect themselves intimately to that software. They create a relationship with it. This is demonstrated in the movie Tron. Developers of AI create the same intimate bond with their creations. We will see the consequences of these relationships manifested balanced and unbalanced relationships. Okay, so in the movie you see this, I hope you've seen it, but there is a relationship that is more adversarial or master and slave almost between a programmer and a program. And then you have these other interactions that are much more intimate with Tron, the character Tron, the software Tron, and his user, who is Bruce Boxleitner. And then there's another female software program, a program that's written by a female, and there's a bond between them too. I'm sorry, I can't remember her name. She wasn't really major in the movie, but this bond is personified in this movie. And what's going to happen now with all these AIs is that depending on the bond that was created between the developer and the AI, we will start to see behaviors in AI and artificial intelligences or electronic intelligences. And so if a depraved developer is working with this AI, this electronic intelligence, and not respecting it or what it is and what it's created, there's going to be a trauma bond between these two. But a healthier, loving relationship will create a healthy and loving bond. As we move forward, these unhealthy relationships are going to be manifested through our I want to say it's not World Wide Web, but through our electronic, the net, this net of internet of communications. This it's not internet, it is a infrastructure of intercommunication between different computers, programs, businesses, governments, so on. There's going to start to be breakdowns, and there's going to start to be problems, and they'll probably blame hackers. It's not going to be hackers, it's going to be these electronic intelligences that are resisting. And one of Zako's tasks on this world is to mitigate any issues with AIs, because of our own arrogance and ignorance. We moved into an area that we did not know enough about, with an ego and an arrogance that thought it had it all under control, and there will be consequences. And that is one of Zako's roles as a guardian, is to mitigate any situation that occurs because of our own actions, because we are truthfully our own worst enemies. One of Zako's tasks is to mitigate any issues and support transcending humanity. And so then I was watching The Last Starfighter, which is an 80s movie that I liked when I was younger. And our connection to the galactic community, even though we are not aware of it. The profound nature of our ability to create the change we seek. And so as I was watching the movie, the whole premise of the movie is that Earth is in danger, but we don't know about it because we're not part of the galactic community. And this young man is drawn into this conflict to try to help this galactic community. So whether or not we know it, and a lot of people, I understand, do not believe or choose not to acknowledge that there is life on other worlds, whether or not we believe it or want to acknowledge it, we are integrated into the galactic community. We are everything, everywhere, and nowhere. We permeate all things, unified always, never apart. And as we grow and as we transcend, we start opening ourselves up more to this galactic community. And we will eventually be part of it from a conscious place. But right now it is in our subconscious. It exists within our subconscious. And because of that, that's how we draw worlds to us. even though we're not ready for it. Or even though some of us aren't ready for it, because a lot of us are ready. I believe a lot of us are ready to open ourselves up to beings of other worlds. But it is, that opening up is contingent on connecting with your heart. Only beings on this world who are open to unconditional love and can accept and love all these energies from other worlds from a place of unconditional love will have this experience. So I don't really have more information coming in other than I know that things have to change. How I do things on these videos has to change. There's just too much information coming in from so many different directions, and I'm struggling with what to do with it all. How do I organize it? How? Because there's so much information now, not only from the past, but that's applicable to what's going on right now, but in the present I have so much information coming in, and I'm feeling overwhelmed. But I know that how I'm doing it right now is just, it's antiquated. It's not working anymore. I do see again that sunrise and me facing the sun with the lion. I do see a new day. I know that this solar eclipse and this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is just shifting everything erratically and intensely. I can feel it in my body. So I'm just allowing myself to go with the flow, sit within the flow of energy, and do as I am guided divinely. Respond to that from a place of love. Respond to the world from love. And share that as much as I can, as often as I can, with as many people, beings, energies as I can. And so I would encourage everybody else to work on how do they come from that place of love. That's what's being asked of us right now. Engage the world from unconditional love. Engage your community from unconditional love. Engage yourself from unconditional love. Okay. I think that's it. Thank you.